Hi everyone. Today the topic which I am going to discuss is types of communication, and I have chosen this topic just to clarify the students what to write when there is a question called what are the various types of communication. Now let's start. Whenever we are asked the question what are the various types of communication, we can write all these on the basis of, we can bifurcate by broadly into three parts, that is on the basis of expression or method or medium, on the basis of the flow of information, or on the basis of the organizational relationship. You can make this diagram on your question paper, we can say, where you can bifurcate it in. We have to write it. If there is a 2 marks question, we can make this diagram and that much is enough. If there is a lengthy question, then you can explain all these in detail so that the communication types of communication will be complete. If we will only write, there are say verbal, non-verbal, or horizontal, vertical, crosswise, or formal, informal, then it would be an incomplete question. So if there is a question called types of communication, we can make this diagram on the basis of method or mode of expression, on the basis of flow of information, and on the basis of organizational relationship. Now, when we say on the basis of expression or method or media, then we can broadly divide it into two parts, that is verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Now, verbal communication verbal communication is the communication that is the communication that uses some language to communicate with the other people. And that language can be any language. It can be English, Hindi, any regional language. That would be called as verbal communication. Now, verbal communication is again divided into two parts, that is oral communication and written communication. Oral communication is the communication which takes place when we are talking to someone or in the oral sense. That is called as oral communication, and written is when we are writing some message and showing that message to the other person or sending that message to the other person. Then that communication takes place is called as written communication. Now, what is non-verbal communication? The communication which takes place without using any language. It can be expression by way of gestures, postures, body language, and apart from that, the way we modulate our voice. Right? These are all called as non-verbal communication, where we are not using any language. We are just transferring the message from one person to the another person in some non-verbal way without using any language. It can be on the basis of some communication is going on the basis of my facial expressions, my eye contact, my hand movement, my gestures, my postures. This communication is called as non-verbal communication. Apart from that, I have made a complete video on verbal and non-verbal communication, oral and written, and what are its advantages and disadvantages. You can go through that video to get all the details. And this video is specifically for this types of communication. I am just giving what you can write on these types of communication. A small clarification of all those communication is enough for if you are writing a medium question, I think. Now, the another type is when we say we are going on the basis of flow of information. A flow of information means in an organization, there are various ways through which the information flows from top to bottom and bottom to top. That form of communication, that type of communication are of three types, that is horizontal, vertical, and crosswise. Now, I'll communicate what is horizontal communication. Horizontal, you all know horizontal line, that is the straight line like a line, line in your copies. So that is called as horizontal communication, which means that at the same level, right? When we are talking in the organization at the same level, for example, if I say sales department is having their meeting, all the salesmen are doing a meeting, is called as a horizontal communication, which means at the same hierarchy or at the same level is called as horizontal communication. If say all the managers are doing their, all the manager HR, marketing, finance, IT, production are doing some meeting, is called as a horizontal communication. Next is vertical communication. Vertical communication is, vertical line is straight line. So whenever there is a communication that is taking place from senior to the subordinates and from subordinates to the senior, that is called as a vertical communication. It goes in a straight line. Vertical line, straight vertical line, right? And vertical communication is again divided into two parts, that is upward communication and downward communication. Upward arrow, it goes and moves in the upward direction, which means that when the communication is going from the subordinates to the seniors, that is called as upward communication. And in the organization, when the communication is going from, say, for example, orders, the sales marketing manager is giving orders to the sales people, that is called as a downward communication. When the information is flowing from upward hierarchy to the lower hierarchy, upward level to the lower level, that is called as downward communication. And when they are moving in both the direction, that is called as vertical communication. Now the third is crossword communication. Diagonal communication, we say it. We also say crossword communication. This is a communication, you can see in the diagram, when there is a communication that is taking place between two different departments. For example, if I say the HR department is asking some queries to the finance department, lower level people, the hierarchy that is lower to them, that is called as diagonal communication, which means that one senior and one subordinate, they are from the different department. It can be senior from some other department, junior from some other department. When the communication, because organization is a group of people, we have to communicate with each and every one. So when the different department people are talking to the different department people in upper hierarchy and lower hierarchy, that is called as a diagonal communication. You can see in this diagram, this is a senior person, you can say HR manager, marketing manager, when he is talking to some junior person in the HR department or marketing department, then that communication is called as diagonal communication or crossword communication, in which there is a diagonal line like structure will be there. Now we are coming to the third is the flow of information on the basis of the organizational relationship. In the organization we have different relationships. Seniors are there, subordinates are there, and there are two different types of relationship called as formal communication and informal communication. Now, informal communication is when we are talking to someone on the basis of for example, my hierarchical structure in the organization. For example, if one, say, HR manager is talking to his subordinate, HR executive, and communicating him, giving him some, say, job, or asking some report regard to her, then that communication is called as formal communication. When we are talking to the other individual, senior or subordinate, on the basis of my profile, on the basis of the job that has been given to me, and I am talking to them or I am talking to the other person on the basis of my status in my organizational structure as a personality in the organization, on the basis of my designation in the organization. That is called as formal communication. It can be I am talking to my client. It is not always that I am this communicating only in the organization. If I am talking outside of the organization and representing the organization, that is called as formal communication. And informal communication is when we are talking. See, human beings are social animals. If we go in the organization also, we are talking to each and everyone on the basis of that hierarchy. But at the tea time, at the lunch time, we have a group there I share, or we share our views, or we communicate lot of things in between them. That is called as informal communication, in which, for example, say if we have a big class in which, say, we have 30-40 students. We have this hi-hello relationship with each and every individual in the class. But I am basically a part of a small group where I basically gossip, where I share my views regarding, it can be regarding my personal life, it can be regarding my professional life, it can be regarding some teacher, it can be regarding any other student in the class. That is called as informal communication. And the difference is, when we in the organization, we have been given a hierarchy, we have been given a job, and we have been given a relationship with, say, I have my senior, I have my subordinates, I have my colleagues. These are all those individuals has been given to me by the organization. I cannot change my boss, I cannot change my subordinates, I cannot change my colleagues. But in case of informal relationship, informal communication, we have a class in which we have so many students. We can decide with whom my frequency is matching, my views are matching, my likes and dislikes are matching. And among all those people, I can choose 5-10 people with whom I can communicate all those issues, because we are social human beings. We at times at emotional communication, we can do some gossip, we can do, that is called as informal communication. Hope you would have understood. That is also called as grapevine communication. Informal communication is also called as grapevine communication. And in informal communication, it flows in all the directions. There is no, say, in case of formal communication, there is vertical, horizontal, and diagonal directions. In case of informal communication, it flows from, it may happen that my boss is my friend at the lunch time. At that point of time, my communication would be in a different way. And when we come in that organizational structure format, then my communication would be in a different way. Now, this formal and informal communication also, I have discussed this in detail in my another video. If you want more information or more clarity on this formal and informal communication, then also you can view that this video. And this video I have specifically made just to clarify the students that if there is a question called types of communication, then we can what we exactly we have to write. So you can say, make it, you can decide the length of this types of communication on the basis of your time that is available in the exam, on the basis of the marks in the question. And hope you would have understood it. Thank you. And please subscribe if you have not subscribed till time.